Hello, do you need help understanding what a 501c3 determination letter is? I'm going to break it down in this video. Let's get started. Hey y'all, this is Tiffany with Boss on a Budget. I help new and small nonprofits get up and running and also raise money for their new nonprofits. If you need help, you should be subscribed to this channel because I drop helpful videos all the time. All right, so today I want to do a really simple video to explain what a 501c3 determination letter is. And I'm not afraid to talk about the simple topics or what may feel like basic topics because the nonprofit world is a mystery to most people. A lot of people may have worked for nonprofits or may have engaged with nonprofits in some way, but the details of running it and managing it, most people really don't know. So I never make assumptions about what people do and don't know. That's why I like doing like one-on-one videos, just so you can get the basic breakdown so you can be as prepared as possible when you are starting and running your nonprofit. So in this video today, I'm going to talk about a few things. I'm going to talk about what is a determination letter. I'm going to talk about the different components. What are the things inside of the letter or what is listed on the letter? I'm also going to talk about how to get copies of that letter if you ever lose the determination letter. And I also want you to wait to the end because there are certain clues and there are certain ways to read this letter if you have questions about the type of organization you are, especially if you're confused about whether you're a public charity or a private foundation. There are definitely clues and places to look on the letter to help you understand what you are. So let's dive right in. What is a 501c3 determination letter? It is the letter that you receive from the IRS to confirm that you have been approved, right? That your application for exemption has been approved, right? And I'm only talking about 501c3 status, but also just want to acknowledge that there are different types of 501cs, but I'm just talking about 501c3. So that determination letter is basically confirming that your application was approved, and it includes certain information that helps you understand how the IRS has classified you for their records, all right? You get your determination letter through the mail. The IRS mainly communicates through US mail. It can be completely frustrating and completely slow, but if the IRS has approved your status, then you just have to wait for it in the mail. And if your address is not correct or there's something missing, you may risk more and more time before you actually get the letter because you have to communicate with the IRS to send it to the right address. So just a quick note, when you are applying for tax exempt status, make sure your address is absolutely correct and very clear because they're going to be communicating with you through the mail. So let's talk about the different components, like what's listed on the 501c3 determination letter. And also, by the way, when people ask you, okay, can I see your 501c3 letter? Because your grant funders are going to ask for that in particular. That's the determination letter, right? It's the same thing. So when you get this letter, make sure you have an electronic copy and you keep it in your official records. Now I have a template, right? So I have a startup mini kit that has a template for like your organizational binder for all your important documents. So if you need help with that, if you need a template to create your own binder, I linked that below and you can purchase it and you can download it and use it for yourself. Also included in that kit is a sample agenda for your very first board meeting. And it's also a template for meeting minutes because you need to make sure that any decisions you make as a board are documented in your meeting minutes. And so I created a template that you can use for your board meetings. So again, that startup mini kit is listed below in the description box. So here are some of the things you're going to see on the determination letter. You're going to see your name, so the name of the organization. You're going to see your organization's address. You're going to see your EIN number, which essentially becomes your 501c3 number. You're also going to see mention of your accounting period. So when you apply for 501c3 tax exempt status, you list the end of your accounting period, which is basically your fiscal year. So if you put, for example, that the end of your year is December 31st, you're going to see that on this particular letter. You're also going to see reference to your date of exemption. So at what point people can start claiming their donations to your organization on their taxes. So that's kind of your date of exemption. You're also going to see a note about your public charity status. You're going to see some numbers there that reference which piece in the IRS code that your status corresponds with. You're also going to see whether or not a 990, a 990EZ, or a 990N/postcard is required. So yes or no. And all of that's going to be listed kind of at the top of the letter. And then you're going to see a couple paragraphs below that just again affirm that your application has been approved and what your status is. Now, the format of the letter may change from year to year. And so I'm recording this video in 2022. So some of the things may change, but I essentially try to just focus on the core items that you're probably going to always see in these letters. And this is especially important because a lot of people get other people to file for exemption for them. So if you get a lawyer or a service online to do it, you're actually not looking at the application probably, or if you do, you don't really understand what you see. So when you get the letter, the things that you may not have noticed or understood in the application are going to show up and be reflected in this letter. So you have to understand what you're reading, and also to make sure that whoever files your paperwork filed it correctly. Because one thing that I've seen a lot is that people rely on services to file, for the exemption, and then they find out much later that a mistake was made. So you can also use this letter to confirm, to make sure that everything is okay with your actual application. I also want to mention how you get copies of this document. So for some reason, if you may lose this document, which you absolutely should try not to do. So like I said, as soon as you get this letter, make an electronic copy and keep it safe in your records, and also keep it in your organizational binder. But for some reason you lose the letter, then you actually can go on the IRS website and you can search for your determination letter on the website, and you can actually download a PDF copy. So I'm actually linking that below so you can search for yourself if you've lost it, or you can just see how it works, or if you can see if your determination letter is even up there yet, okay? Your other option is to fill out a form, which I'm also linking below with the IRS, and you can send that to the IRS and they can also mail you a copy, but obviously that's going to take a lot longer. So if you want a PDF version, you can actually go to the IRS website and download it yourself. Here's a quick note. Like every time I think it's going to be a short video, I keep thinking of other things and pointers to keep in mind, right? So I also want you to remember that this is all public information. Some people get really antsy about sharing their 501c3 number or sharing their letter because they feel like somebody's going to use it for malicious intent. But the reality is this is public information. Anybody can go on the IRS website and look this up, right? Just try it for yourself. If you know the EIN, or if you know the name, because you can also search by name, you could potentially find the determination letter for a lot of different organizations, and people can download that and use that. And so I just recommend that you just not focus on that. You're not worried about that. Yes, be vigilant if someone's using, your name and your 501c3 fraudulently. There's some things you just can't avoid. So you also want to pay attention to that. But don't be so tight with it that you're like, no, nobody's going to get my letter. Why are they asking for my letter? Why are they asking for my number? The reality is you got to give it up. You're going to have to for grant applications. There are corporations who are going to want to verify that you actually have tax exempt status and they want to see your letter. So you just got to be open and free with this. I just want to keep that in mind also, that it's not necessarily like a private number or a private document like your social security card or something like that. It's not. It's public information. So just keep that in mind. So I wanted you to wait to the end of this video to share this really important tip, because like I said before, sometimes other people are filling out your documentation for you, or you're doing it, but you're not exactly sure what you're doing, and you may make mistakes in the paperwork, and you can actually use the letter to verify if everything went through okay. All right. So the main issue that a lot of people run into when they make mistakes with filing for 501c3 status is their determination, whether or not they're a public charity or a private foundation. So a lot of people don't realize you are actually defaulted to be a private foundation. You have to actually say that you're a public charity. You actually have to declare that on the form by filling out certain answer options, right? Otherwise, the IRS is going to automatically default you to a private foundation. But this is the thing. Most people who operate as like direct service nonprofits or people who are doing like charity work in their nonprofits are actually designated as public charities. So you have to make sure that you're filling out the right thing on the paperwork, and you can check in the letter to see if you're actually a public charity or a private foundation according to the IRS. So what I want you to do is read the actual paragraphs, and it'll actually say in the paragraph, it should be about the second paragraph, but again, I'm not going to say for sure because the format of the letter may shift from year to year, but it'll actually say, we have determined that you are a public charity. So the letter will actually say that. The other way you can identify whether or not you're accurately characterized as a public charity versus a private foundation is the type of 990 form that the letter indicates that you have to submit. So there's also going to be a paragraph in there that says that you are required to submit an annual form, and it will reference the name of the form. If the form it references says 990 PF, you are classified as a private foundation. If the form referenced says 990, 990 EZ, and 990 N, or the 990 postcard, then you are characterized as a public charity. So those are two clues that you have to be aware of if you're confused or if you're not sure what kind of 501c3 nonprofit you're characterized as. And if you need help understanding the difference between the two, I did record a video on this and I'm linking it above. It's called The Number One Mistake People Make When Applying for 501c3 Status. So make sure you check that out. Also, if you need help with starting your nonprofit, make sure you visit me at www.bossonabudget.com. I have a bunch of resources there, along with workbooks and toolboxes to help get you started. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one.